And so when I tell people one of my favorite secrets to burn fat faster is to actually eat more high carb foods like white rice and potatoes, they look at me like I'm crazy. But you just have to use the right strategy. Now, if you don't understand how to add these high carb foods to your diet the right way, it's inevitable. You will continue to struggle, weight loss plateaus, a hormonal decline, deprivation, sacrifice, and hunger. I mean, are you really gonna go the rest of your life without eating any carbs? The great news is you don't have to, and they can help you burn fat faster. So, let's do this. Okay, so now let's convert your body from a sugar burner into a fat burner using my 7-day diet, or what I call a carb deplete week. Now, this is a lot different than a ketogenic diet. And what this will do is it's gonna turn off your body's dependence on burning sugars as a fuel source, and it's gonna turn on your body's ability to find and use stored fat as a fuel source instead. So at the end of this week, congratulations, if you can make it, you will be fat adapted. You're officially a fat burner. Now, with that being said, it's not easy. So a couple things to have in place. Number one is I want you to dangle the carrot and have a cheat meal at 6.5 days. So on day 7, at the end of day 7, I want you to plan a cheat meal that you can have. I don't want you to binge your stuff, but I want you to have a cheat meal. This is super important because after 6 or 7 days of doing this strategy, you will lower your fat loss hormones and your metabolic rate. And this cheat meal is gonna help reverse that. And I'm gonna talk more about that in the next strategy. First, let's talk about how this week works. What are your macros and what are your calorie intake? So first of all, for this week, I want you to take 10 times your ideal body weight. So if you're a female, you're 150 pounds, your ideal body weight is 130 pounds. I want you to take 10 times 130, that's 1,300. You're gonna have 1,300 calories a day for this entire 7 days. Now, protein is gonna be very, very high. It's gonna be your highest macronutrient. Fats are gonna be moderate to high, and carbs are gonna be 25 grams of impact carbs or less per day if you're a female, and 35 grams of impact carbs per day or less if you're a man. Now, what are impact carbs? Well, impact carbs are the carbs that are gonna affect insulin. So, say for example, you're having a high protein, moderate fat omelet, and you have some veggies in there and you have about 10 grams in carbs from those veggies. But you know, 4 of those grams are fiber. You can subtract that from the 10 and you get 6 grams of impact carbs. So that's the carbs that will actually impact insulin. So 25 per day if you're a female, 35 per day if you're a man. Now, this is not easy, and about 3 or 4 days in, you're gonna experience what's called the shift. And this is where your body literally will shift from burning sugars to burning fat. And you might experience some brain fog, some fatigue. And so I want you to push through this and remember that you have that cheat meal at the end waiting for you. And that is the key to making all this work. If you can dangle that carrot and have that reward, you're able to push through and make this all work. So that is how you become fat adapted. Now, once you do this, you have to learn how to carb cycle. Otherwise, you're gonna just slow down your metabolism and suppress your fat burning hormones even further. So now let's talk about how to do that. Strategy number 2 is to strategically add lots of carbs to your diet the right way using what I call carb cycling. So before we dive in, I tell you exactly how to do this and break it down for you, just like I did for the 7-day diet. I want to preface why I believe carb cycling is far superior to any other diet on the planet. The first reason is that you don't eliminate any food groups at all. You don't have to cut out any food groups. Why does every other diet on the planet work? Think about it. You're typically eliminating entire groups of foods. Well, that's gonna automatically lower your calorie intake, but it involves one thing: hunger and deprivation. Who wants that? Now, not only that, carb cycling actually boosts your fat burning hormones and your metabolism. So let me explain how. You see, after you did that 6.5 days of that carb deplete week that I talked about, that 7-day diet to become fat adapted, well, research shows it only takes about 6 days of doing that before leptin and thyroid levels will suppress by up to 50%. Well, leptin and thyroid hormones work together synergistically to regulate your body weight and control the speed of your metabolism. And the glucose molecules that you get from foods like white rice and potatoes and quinoa and oats and all these carbs are actually the building blocks of these hormones. This is why people who do ketogenic diet for extended periods of time end up needing thyroid medication, because they're eliminating the glucose that actually rebuilds these hormones. Now, this also causes something called metabolic slowdown, where it slows down your metabolic rate. This is what happened to season 7 Biggest Loser contestants. They measured their leptin levels like a year later, and they were still at almost like 0 because they were crash dieting and they were avoiding carbohydrates. By adding carbs to your diet the right way, you rebuild these hormones, you maintain sanity, you prevent yourself from being hungry, you don't have to deprive yourself, right? You have all these amazing benefits of carb cycling, and you're really gonna go the rest of your life without eating carbs? Well, the good news is you don't have to, and they can help you burn fat faster. So here's how it works. Okay, so let's quickly break down the macros on how to carb cycle. And what we wanna do is we wanna do a Monday through Friday low carb deplete, similar to the 7-day diet and the deplete week, except we're gonna up them a little bit more now that your body's fat adapted. And then on the weekends, we're gonna carb up to boost these fat burning hormones in your metabolism. So if you're a female during the week, I want you to take 50 grams of impact carbs per day and divide them into 2 doses pre and post workout. If you're a man, do the same thing, but want to up it to about 75 grams divided pre and post workout. So by having these carbs in the pre and post workout window, always eat your carbs with a protein and a vegetable whenever you can, because this is going to help you stabilize insulin, keep your body in more of a fat burning environment. But by having these carbs pre and post workout, you provide your body with the fuel it needs to get through the workout on a low carb diet. You prevent muscle loss, and you ensure those carbs are used as energy and won't spill over and get stored as fat. Now, on the weekends, this is when the fun happens. We're gonna carb up, and you're gonna go ahead and have a starchy carbohydrate and some fruits. We're gonna focus mainly on starches because remember, it's the rice, it's the potatoes, it's the oats, it's the beans, it's these starchy carbohydrates that have the glucose molecules that rebuild these hormones. So have a fist-sized portion of carb in every single meal on the weekend, and then go ahead and have one cheat meal as long as you've been good during the week and the rest of the time, and you've earned the right. You can have one cheat meal with one dessert, and this will give your body all the glucose that it needs every single weekend to do a couple things. Number 1, you boost your leptin and thyroid hormones that we talked about. Number 2, you prevent metabolic slowdown, so you boost your metabolic rate. Number 3, the most important part, you have sanity, right? You're gonna be more social on the weekends anyway. So this is the easy science of how to carb cycle. You have that Monday through Friday fat burning phase, you have a carb up on the weekends, and this is something that you can maintain for the long haul to burn stubborn fat faster. Now let's dive into the third and final secret on how to burn a stubborn fat cell. All right, so the final strategy is how to burn a stubborn fat cell. And that's the key word, because it's pretty easy if you follow the basic rules of dieting. You get in a calorie deficit, you move more and you eat less, and you're gonna lose that first 10 to 20 pounds, but then the body hits what's called metabolic and dietary adaptations, where the body fights back and you hit a plateau and the stubborn fat just won't let go. Well, the 3 steps I'm gonna share with you is how you're gonna get your body and you're gonna trick it into releasing fatty acids from stubborn fat cells, deliver them to working tissue, and burn them off. This is how you burn a stubborn fat cell. Now, in the scientific community, these 3 steps are called mobilize, transport, and oxidize. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna simplify it for you, and we're gonna label them release, deliver, and burn. Now, how do you release, deliver, and burn a stubborn fat cell? In the description below, you're gonna see a link to my Over 40 Ab Solution. This is 12-minute bodyweight workouts that's gonna teach you exactly how to accomplish these 3 steps. And here's how it works. The first thing that you need to do is you need to exercise when insulin is very low or stable. Now, how do you do this? Well, you exercise in a fasted state. You see, in the presence of even the tiniest amounts of insulin, your body will block fat loss, and it'll make it impossible for your body to access these stubborn fat cells as a fuel source. Either 4 hours after a meal, when insulin is stabilized, in the morning on an empty stomach when you wake up, or during an intermittent fasting window. You want to exercise at a high intensity for a short duration, anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes of doing high intensity exercise burst. I don't care if it's cardio or it's weight training. You want to rest minimally and you want to burst really, really hard and elevate your heart rate really, really high for periods of 30 to 45 seconds. You want to recover for about a minute in between. And you want to do this about 5 to 10 times in a fasted state. When you do this, it's going to ramp up your body's sympathetic nervous system. Number 1, you're in a fasted state. So when insulin is low and you're in a fasted state, it starts elevating your sympathetic nervous system. Then you start exercising and your body's fight or flight response kicks up even higher. This is what's gonna coax your adrenal glands to release fat burning hormones called catecholamines, and it's gonna coax your pituitary gland to release more growth hormone. Now these catecholamines will actually release these fatty acids from your fat cells into the bloodstream where they can be burned off. Now here's where the problem comes in, and you have to get a little tricky. Okay? When you release those stubborn fat cells from fasted exercise, they start floating around in your bloodstream. They need to be delivered to working tissue and burned off. If you don't burn them off, research shows they can actually resettle and restore into another area of your body. Now, this especially happens if you're leaner and you're older and you're down to that stubborn fat. This is called re-esterification. Now, in order to prevent re-esterification, the solution is after you're done doing these high intensity exercise bursts, you simply want to walk briskly or do some type of low to medium intensity cardio for about 20 minutes or longer afterwards. This will burn off all these fatty acids that your body has released into the bloodstream. Now, if you want to know the exact movement patterns, the exact rest periods to use, and exactly how to do this, just click the link below to our Over 40 app solution, and we'll show you how to do it in just 12 minutes every single day. Now, if you got something out of this, do me a favor, share the love, hit a like, drop a comment if you have questions. Then up in the corner over here, if you want to go deeper on how to turn your body from a sugar burner into a fat burner, I did an entire video on it. It's right up here. Check it out. Thanks for watching, and God bless.